It is a hot summer day when I am visiting my aunt on her farm. And while I'm walking around, my cousins and their friends, they ride their horses. And the only sounds I hear are those of the rustling water, boats sailing by, and the giggles of the girls. Out of the blue, they ride to this ferry shipway and let their horses walk into the water. For a swim. If it wasn't for the scrapyard on the background, it could be Eden. I would like to share with you my A Falling Horizon project, a story about the Sophia Polder. The Sophia Polder is a small island in the river named Noord, close to the town of Dordrecht. On this island is one farm that belonged to my Aunt Honey and her children Anna, Lisa and Daniel. Their house was built on the mainland just opposite the island, and every morning they would row across the river to take care of the animals. But they were forced to leave their home. The dike has been breached to create new nature. The farmland has been transformed into a freshwater tidal marsh where twice a day high tide floods the island. This is to compensate the loss of nature elsewhere by the construction of the Betuwe Line railway. As a photographer, I have the urge to record things that are in danger of disappearing. So when Honey told me they had to leave the island, I decided to start photographing their daily life. And the more time I spent there, the more questions that arose in my mind. And today I would like to share those thoughts with you while I show you the photos of the island prior to the transformation. The island is such a unique place. You can only get there by boat, so whenever I used to go there, I felt I was leaving the inhabited world behind me. It is a hidden green paradise in the middle of an industrial area, surrounded with rusty shipwrecks waiting for the iron price to rise. And some have been covered by so much sand that trees have started to grow on them. And on the island, time was also left to take its course. A broken tractor, for example, could be left standing there for 20 years. And this is quite un-Dutch, because in the Netherlands we are so used to everything being efficient and functional. But so far, the Sophia Polder has escaped this Dutch makeability, and that is exactly what attracted me to it. For the children, this was an adventurous playground while growing up, with building huts with hay bales and sitting around campfires at night. And Anna, the oldest daughter, had a boyfriend whose band would have their rehearsals in the attic of the old stable. They would cross the river in their rowing boat with their amplifiers on board. And there were always many girls around who kept their horses on the farm. They would come visit with their boyfriends to hang out and ride their horses. And sometimes, troubled youngsters stayed a while to join in with the daily chores that are part of farm life. Free realms, like the Sophia Polder, have become very rare in our organized country. And that made me wonder, what sense does it make to want to redesign one-of-a-kind places like this? Also, the island is Honey's home. Of course, life on a farm is hard work. In spring, for example, the sheep need constant attention and care while giving birth. So the family would stay on the island and sleep in the hay, or they would take turns in crossing the river during the night. They would take the rowing boat and head to the animals, no matter how freezing cold the weather, how much it was raining, or even when the waves were high during thunderstorms. And my grandfather once said that land that you work hard for is land that you will love. This family had a very special connection to this small island. And now the island has been transformed into new nature. It is open for day trippers. And once a month, a civil caretaker will do his checkups and see if nature is developing according to plan. Will he or those visitors have the same compassion to the island? Can someone bond with this land like this family did? And doesn't that make this place more anonymous? Why take someone off their land instead of looking for ways of keeping those people involved who have a heart for the land? Another lingering question that bothered me is, when can we call something nature? I understand the dilemma. Of course, we should protect nature and preserve it, and wetlands are very rare. But the Sophia Polder was a meadow bird area with many species of birds, plants and insects. This was a result of the low-intensity farming practiced there, as well as the isolation of the island. This made it a quiet area. Rare plants and spiders have been found there, and many protected godwits nested in the high grass. And those godwits will still be able to find their food there, but they have to go elsewhere to build their nests. After 150 years, the island has been given back to nature, and that means that everything that is man-made had to go. So the fertile farmland has been scraped off, and the contractor made a lookout point for great panoramic views of the town of Dordrecht. And the horse riding arena had to go, and boardwalks were made for visitors to keep dry feet. and the stables were pulled down, and a bird-watching hut was erected. And the trees, the row of poplars that was planted 40 years ago, they too had to go, because they had a lower nature value than the planet tidal marsh. So the trees were cut and replaced by an information panel informing visitors that this is now officially nature. But wait a minute, have these things not been built by human hands? I am walking with Honey towards the other end of the island, and she's about to move the cows to another meadow for the very last time. And she wanders around. Where will the owl go that lives in the attic? And what will happen to the rabbits and the moles after they breach the dike and high tide floods the island? Honey says, I struggle with the idea that humans are superior and can construct nature. Should we really manipulate nature or design it the way that we see fit? Because in order to do that, you have to remove something valuable as well. And with this, I would like to conclude my story. The island, unconfined as it was unique. No one can bond with this land like this family did, that cared for and loved it. And the natural environment has been replaced by so-called official nature, where everything is strictly regulated. Especially in our over-organized country, we should not want to get rid of places like this, but instead value them, cherish them, and let them be. My reaction to what was happening was to document the last 4 seasons and to make it into a book, because a book is tangible and continuous in contrast to the farm that now only exists as a memory. I realize that as a photographer, I have this luxury to reflect and look back. But a farmer needs to start a new life. They have to move on, just like nature that never stands still. So Honey went to another farm with 2 acres instead of the 30 she had on the Sophia polder. So she also had to let go of many of her animals. But she focuses more on the future than on what she left behind. And about the Sophia polder, she says, I don't want to be unhappy about it. I want to think it will probably be beautiful again, especially for people that don't know what it used to be like. Thank you.